Sal out of Villanova to this massive 4-year contract extension with the Bills. He spoke today. Sal will join us at 5, talk a little bit about Benford. They still have the other corner position to figure out. I mean, assuming they haven't figured it out just, in their offices or something. Looks like a position of need at this point. And I wondered the other day when Brandon Beane said, in reference to James Cook's situation, we're on to the draft now, if that meant corner also. That they are just sort of after the meetings in Florida that Sal also went to. Now it's like, all right, we got 3 weeks. This is about, plans for the draft. And I mean,
maybe we're done in the Rasul Douglas, Stephon Gilmore aisle.
I just wonder, I don't need to take it so literally to think that, but, he might have been talking generally about, where they were, what they were thinking. The draft, though, there will be options at pick 30. Second day in a row, I saw a new name in a mock draft for them. This was a PFF one. Yesterday was Lance Zierlein, NFL.com. You want it?
Sure.
Landon Jackson,
Arkansas.
edge rusher. Is he? Okay.
Arkansas, yeah.
Edge. Could you just do that for any player, you think?
No, but this is a player that I have spent some time with.
Okay. I just know the running backs. I'm spending my time on the running backs.
Go figure.
For whatever reasons. Landon Jackson, edge rusher, 2 days in a row with an edge rusher for the Bills at 30. You like it?
It's a position of need. It really depends on. I'm not dug in enough to know at this point, and I don't know if I'll get there. I could pretend you got to get the corners drop off after the first two guys. I don't know. I'm not dug in on. I think corner's a bigger need than edge, but that doesn't mean the better player at 30. If they just stay there, will be a corner necessarily. Edge is to me, corner should be the priority, but if it doesn't fall right, well, that's how it goes. I don't want you to reach, I'm hoping you didn't 3 years ago when you did this with Elam, or 4 years ago with Elam, but it didn't go well, obviously. So even though it's the most obvious need, starting position really available on the roster, if you want to do something else, I'm going to have to sit here and listen and maybe nod my head or shake my head, depending, but this edge to me is perfectly defensible. I think defensive tackle's a bigger need than edge even. So I would go corner, tackle, edge. Prioritizing defensive needs myself. Notice how I'm not mentioning safety, even though I love Nick Emenworry. And I
am noticing that. That's all I can think about.
But edge is a perfectly defensible idea. I'd be very surprised if they did something other than one of those 3 spots. Corner, tackle, edge. So I don't know. I don't have it in me to be outraged about the idea of them not drafting a corner, but it's the biggest need. But I like this player, this Arkansas kid, just fine. Reading about him and watching a little bit of some of the cut-ups on him, he looks pretty promising.
Landon Jackson. All right.
Long. He's got long arms. Long arms, I think.
You want that?
It's a plus.
Another name for the pile here. Chris Trapasso at 4 today. Let's go to Steve next. Hi, Steve. Steve?
Yes, hi.
Hi.
How's it going?
Going good. Thanks. You're on the radio.
I have nothing to do about the draft or anything. I'm just wondering how you two guys can possibly think that the Bills are going to be in the running for first place in the AFC. Have you looked at their schedule? They'll be lucky if they win 10 games.
Isn't a better question to ask someone how they could possibly think that there's no chance the Bills would be good? Isn't that a better question? Their over-under win total is 11.5. You think it's us?
Again, let me say they're going to be good, but they are not going to be able to beat the teams that happen to be in their schedule this year.
How do you know that? You don't think they'd be favored against Cincinnati at home or Baltimore?
No.
Really?
No. Yes.
Well, again, the better question is why not? They were favored against the Ravens in the playoffs. They just played them. The better question would be, why wouldn't you think this?
because the Ravens lost on a flub.
Okay, well, I find it kind of ridiculous to think.
Better offense.
Okay, yeah, thanks, Steve. The better question is, why would you think they'd be bad, or if not bad, the other way? That's the better question. Than
yeah, I don't know. I mean, every year you can. The schedule looks daunting. No argument, Steve. I mean, you run down the opponents. And I already said, I don't need every one of these games to be some marquee standalone game. The opponents all would justify it. I doubt it'll happen that way. So it looks hard, but it's April.
It's baked into the line.
Right. And who knows what. Last year, San Francisco looked like one of the hardest games on the schedule. And they came in here broken down and collapsing. So, it's just a little early to be daunted by the schedule. The Bills have been near the top of the conference for 5 or 6 years running now. I'm willing to bet that they'll be at least somewhat in that same area, despite having the mighty Eagles on their schedule and the Bengals and all the teams they got to play. They'll be really good.
Well, they're only going to be, like the caller predicts, they'll be an underdog against the Bengals. They're only going to be an underdog against the Bengals if the season is half over and Cincinnati is clearly better. Then they go on the road to Buffalo and, against Allen. Allen's healthy, or does he have to be injured? In that kind of scenario, that can vary. I don't know. I'm just saying, the better question is to ask somebody that thinks with such confidence that they'll be down, why? I could see it. I mean, it's not like I know what's going to happen. I mean, at any team, Sam Panayotovich asked a couple of weeks ago what we would do with 11.5, and I said I would go under. And I said, just sort of a knee-jerk answer to his question. And I said I would go under, I think, on any team, 11.5. I always just sort of have that instinct that somebody could get hurt, parity, schedule, whatever, that there are factors.
Well, it's hard.
The division getting better.
Right. I don't want to assume a great season. And 12 wins is a great season. I've even with 17 games, I think I've said, don't split hairs. You win 12 games, you had a great year. I don't know what's going to happen when the playoffs get here or where that will get you seeding-wise, but that's a great year. So it is sort of assuming. You're assuming the over. You're assuming in contention for the 1 seed. You're assuming a great season. Okay, guilty. It's the track record, the schedule, whoever's put in front of them, they find their way to be in contention for that. I mean, last year, I don't know, were they in contention for it? They never got close, really. So the one, yeah.
You'd have to say they were, wouldn't you? They were right there on the cusp of it all year. They never got to a point where one win would do it.
Right.
But no one else was closer.
Right.
At least.
So anyway, this early in the year, yeah. I'm fine talking about the schedule in such a way that competing for the 1 seed is still part of it. I've not given up on that yet in April, just because James Cook might be mad. I'm not ready to give up on things that the Bills could do to make their lives easier come playoff time. The one thing they've not done is get the 1 seed. Us wanting it really badly doesn't mean a damn thing to the whole scenario, but just, I don't know. I'm getting more aggravated by the call, and he's been gone longer than he was on. But
I'm just thinking, how weird would it be to listen to me or you talk like that? Every day, just sort of having the take that they're actually going to they have no chance at it. Even in another market, how weird would that be?
Right.
Right? I mean, objectively, win total, AFC championship, is the team any different? Really substantially than the team that just went to the AFC Championship, right? I bring up the division point because the division was such a mess, and you rightly point out, does it have to be better? Do the Jets and the Patriots really have to be better? Or the Dolphins? That's fair. It would be so strange to listen to somebody on the air.
They're doomed.
Be I can't, what did he say? How is it possible for you guys to talk like that? How is it possible?
Have you watched the team play?
Do you follow sports?
The last 5 years?
That's how it's possible. How weird would it be for somebody to sound like that? I don't know. I'm glad for the the variety. I'm glad for someone different. Someone sound. How is it possible for you guys to sound like you think they're going to be good? I don't know. Good question. Chris Trapasso at 4. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here managing. This is WGR.